As you know, well, first of all, I keep on forgetting to introduce myself in case you don't know me. I'm Kiratiana. I'm a journalist based in Rio de Janeiro. I've been living there for 5 years. And during this special time in the world, I decided to um, interview as many amazing Afro-Brazilians in English as I can in the next month. And the reason I'm doing this project is because I feel like there is, because of this language divide that we have, language barrier, Portuguese, they speak Portuguese, we speak English. It's oftentimes very difficult to get information from Brazil about Black people in Brazil. And so I wanted to just bring to you bring to you directly from Brazil, people who are doing amazing things. And I do plan on doing interviews in Portuguese later on this year when I can like pay someone to translate them for you. But right now we're focusing on some people who can tell you about their experiences in English. And today I have with me someone who I've known for like the last 2 or 3 years, Sabrina Fildalgo, who is a filmmaker. We're going to be talking about filmmaking in Brazil from the experience of this amazing Black woman. Now, first of all, let me tell you, I think I saw you in Rio before I actually saw your films, but I became introduced to your films because I went to this session at the Caixa Cultural that was a whole session of your films.
Oh, yeah.
And you actually did a talk afterwards where you were just like, you called everybody out. You were just like, what is wrong with the diversity in this industry? I live in a country with more than 50% Black, but that I do not see enough Black filmmakers. And I was like, wow, I have to meet her. Before I was like, I'll meet this woman. Let me read briefly a short bio of you, and then we're going to get into our chat. You guys who are watching us, if you have any questions, you can ask your questions throughout the interview. You do not have to wait until the end. So please just type your questions on the side. So let me read to you a brief bio of Sabrina. So obviously she is an award-winning Brazilian filmmaker. Her films have been showcased at over 300 national and international film festivals throughout the world: Los Angeles, New York, Mexico City, Buenos Aires, Ghana, Germany, of course. And in March of 2018, she was voted in 8th place by the US publication Bustle as one of 36 female filmmakers across the globe who are breaking ground in their countries. And she actually studied filmmaking in Germany, Munich, Germany, which I studied abroad in Munich, Germany for 6 months in 2000. Oh gosh, what year was it? In 2000. I wonder if we were there at the same time. And she's written and directed and performed in a myriad of short films. Some of them that we're actually going to just go over briefly today. Sonar, Das Gesetz des Starken, Black
Das Gesetz des Stärkeren.
Oh gosh. Black Berlin, Cinema Mudo. I do not speak German anymore, and I didn't speak it well when I was there.
Okay, great.
Personal Violator, and also Rio Encantado. And actually, one of her, her second to last work is called Rainha. And her most recent, tell us the name of your most recent work,
Alfazema.
And we're going to show like brief clips of that work where you're going to explain to us what it's about. Whew.
Right.
You've done a lot, okay? You have done a lot. Okay, so let's get into our questions. I love this part where we get into the questions. So obviously, just my first question is, first of all, tell us a little bit about your upbringing. I know that you come from a family of artists. So tell us about just how it was growing up as a Black woman in Brazil in a family of artists.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for this amazing, beautiful introduction, Kiratiana. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It was so lovely. Yeah. Well, yes, I'm a daughter of 2 Black artists. I grew up in this environment with lots of arts and lots of Black politics too. My parents, they founded the professional Black theater in Brazil. So since I was little, playing in the backstage of the theaters while the plays were going on. And yes, I always had these amazing Black references in my life since I was a kid. I mean, I always knew, it was always told me that I was beautiful, that my color was beautiful and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And all these Afro-American references, blah, blah, blah. All of these, I got it since I was little. And the thing is that in Brazil, Brazil is one of the most racist countries in the world. We have a big issue related to it.
Mm-hmm.
And Brazil, the vast majority of the population in Brazil is Black. Like 56% of the population is
Mm-hmm.
Black, but we are underrepresented in all areas
Mm-hmm.
possible, included arts, of
Mm-hmm.
course. So it was difficult for me because I grew up in this very rich and potent environment, family environment,
Mm-hmm.
but outside the world was not so kind. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I had to deal with things like racism, and I didn't recognize myself in the schools I was studying, because
Mm-hmm.
in Brazil you cannot go to public school
Mm-hmm.
because it's not so good. If you go, you won't have big chances in your life. So
Mm-hmm.
my parents always have paid private schools for me, and this is a completely white environment,
Mm-hmm.
private schools. So I had to fight since I was a kid, but I was prepared for my parents, thanks God. I was not a victim during this period, because I had the Black conscience. I could answer all the bad things people wanted to say to me, other
Mm-hmm.
kids, and blah blah blah. And that was really important for me. So when I grew up, I think I was strong enough to not feel to don't feel these bad feelings that other people had
Now, would you
related
say
to.
your experience growing up amongst all this positivity and blackness
Yeah.
was typical? Can you explain to our audience if that is
No, no, no,
typical
no,
or
no.
not?
No. It was not typical. It was very typical, to be honest, because the vast majority of Black people back then, they weren't aware of Black politics, of Black's history, and things like that. Because Brazil always tried to push Black people in a way to whitenize them, to
Mm-hmm.
make them believe that they are mixed race, that it would be better if they could straight up their hair, if they
Mm-hmm.
could be lighter, and this kind of things. So like in the 80s or in the 90s, it was very usual to see Black people saying that they were white.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, because they weren't aware, because they had no education to understand their roots. But since some years, like 10 years, less than 10 years ago, I mean, this is the racial issue is became one of the most important topics in Brazil. I
Mm-hmm.
think this is a global thing. I'm not
And
sure, but
also,
I can't believe it's a
and
global
also,
thing now. And now people are acting like this, inclusively Black people.
And
But
one thing I
back then,
noticed,
at my time, when I was a child, it wasn't something really usual.
well, you know what? Also, we actually talked to AD Junior yesterday, and he explained that when you looked at television in the late 80s and 90s in Brazil, all you saw was blonde white women.
Yeah.
So I feel like, and I think we're of similar age. I won't tell our ages, but we're similar age. But I think that like the people in your generation, our generation, it sounds like it was very difficult for them to embrace blackness because they just didn't see it. Like you, and so
Yeah.
you had this opportunity to grow up in blackness that wasn't typical. I understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. Yeah. He was right. Inclusively, I love him. He's my friend. I love AD. Yes, but he was right. I mean, the 80s and 90s, if you turn on the TV in Brazil, it was like you would turn the TV in Sweden, you know, you could only see white, and not only white, but blonde people, you know, blonde, blue-eyed people, you know, they were crazy about that, you know. I mean, Brazil has a big issue related to colonialism, you know, because Brazil always wanted to look like the European colony, you know. So only nowadays we are able to speak out more and more about this. And nowadays, I mean, this is this is really something new, that you turn on TV and then you see more diversity, which is still not enough. Because as I told you, I mean, we are the majority of the population, so you should be the majority of the diversity of media, but we are still not yet the majority, but we are there somehow, you know, more than before. But yes, this is that was the situation. And when I was a kid, my parents, they used to buy Afro-American magazines like Ebony, Essence, and they took out the pages and they put on the walls, so I could see all these beautiful black families, all these beautiful black women, you know. And they made me look at to these pictures and say, you are beautiful like that, you be someone like that. Yes, because that was the only possibility for a black kid in the 80s to see something positive about blackness, because we hadn't something like this in Brazil. There were no beautiful black people in magazines or newspapers. You saw only black people in two possibilities: sports, or related to some violence news or things like that, in a very negative way, you know.
So how did you become a filmmaker? Walk us through that experience of at what moment did you think, okay, I want to be a filmmaker, given the fact that you didn't see black people on TV? That's a big leap.
Yeah. Luckily, my father used to be a film fan, a huge one. He was like crazy about films. So we used to go together to theaters to watch American films, European films, everything possible. So I have this film reference in my childhood, not only Brazilian TV. And yes, I decided. The first moment when I thought I would like to be a filmmaker or something like this, I was really young. I was like 7 years old, or maybe 8 years old. I was watching The Wizard of Oz with Judy Garland, you know. And then I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do in my life. This is something so magic I want to do. Of course, I wasn't able to understand exactly what I want to do with this, but I had the feeling that I wanted to work on films, you know. And then afterwards, I tried to be an actress. I even studied a little bit I was at the Performing Arts University and blah blah blah. But I had the feeling that I had nothing to do with this, because I was not the best actress, and I also, I was not that good, and also
Okay.
because no, I was aware about this back then, and also because I wanted to write my own stories. I didn't like the texts I had to deal with. The vast majority were from white male man, and I didn't like anything, and I always been a good writer since I was a kid. I knew I had a talent, I was gifted. And then I decided, and I was a film fan too since very young. And then I decided, okay, I will quit this performing arts course, and then I will try to study films. I want to become a filmmaker. I want to write my own stories. I mean, that's how it started. I mean, and then I went to Germany to study German language. I was at a German course there in Munich in 2002.
Okay, not the same year,
Yeah.
not quite the same year.
Yeah, it was in the end of 2000. I was very young, and then I went to study German for some months, and then I stayed for 7 years. In the end, at the end, and then I was there. I applied to the after my German course. When I was finished with it, I applied to the School of TV and Film in Munich, and then I got a place there to study documentary film. And yes, and then I started to work there in the school films, in little positions like the third production assistant and this kind of things, until I got the chance to make my first short, which is Sonar 2006.
So I think I'm gonna jump a little bit ahead because I'm so eager to start talking about your films and black people in Brazil and filmmaking. If someone comes to you and asks you, Sabrina, I want to get to know Black filmmaking in Brazil, what would you who do you tell them to look? What films do you tell them to get into, or how do you even start that discussion? What is Black filmmaking in Brazil? What is it? How is it? And who is doing the Black film?
Yeah. Nowadays, many people, I mean, there are many people older than me, from my generation, from youngest generation to young people. I mean, there are lots of people doing it. I will start with the oldest.
Let's talk about older people.
Yeah, like we have people like Joelzito Araújo, which is a very good director. His first film was a documentary on how white Brazilian television is. I don't know the name in English, but in Portuguese it's A Negação do Brasil. How would you say that? The negation of Brazil, something like this.
Denial.
The denial of Brazil, something like this. It's a very interesting study on how white our television is, and how neglected are our Black actors and Black artists. It's very interesting, and he also directed afterwards feature films, and his last film is a biofilm on Fela Kuti, which is very interesting. Joelzito is an amazing director, and we have also Adélia Sampaio, which was the first Afro-Brazilian woman filmmaker who directed a fiction feature film, which was on theaters. And we have Lilia Solar Santiago, which is a woman from Sao Paulo. She has directed some very good shorts and some very good medium-length films too. We have Dandara, which is another Brazilian filmmaker. We have Jefferson D, which is a very popular Afro-Brazilian director. He had amazing feature films. He was at Berlin with one of his features. He's directing novelas at TV Globo. I mean, he's very good. And we have so many names. We have Renata Martins, which is from my generation. She's a very good director from São Paulo. She has her last film called Sem Asas, with No Wings in English. It's a short film. Then we have Everlane Moraes, which is a documentary filmmaker. We have lots of names. Actually, we have Camila de Moraes, which is the second female Afro-Brazilian filmmaker with a feature film in the theaters. She has it's a documentary, not a fiction, about a very famous racism case in south of Brazil. We have lots of names. I can tell you more and more. We have.
And is there a theme? Do you feel like amongst? Okay, so you listed some people that we should look out for. Are these people recent people, or does Black filmmaking in Brazil go back far? Does it go something that's very recent? Like, how new is it to be a Black filmmaker in Brazil?
It's not so new, because as I told you, I mean, for example, Joelzito Araújo, Adélia Sampaio, these guys, they are working since the 80s, 70s, 80s. We have also Zózimo Bubu, which is one of the first ones. He has an amazing short called Alma no Olho, So in the Eye, which is in YouTube exclusively. And this film is from 1973, for example. But it was, the thing is that they were really exceptions. They were 1 in a million. And since 10 years, let's say 10 years, it's becoming more and more usual, and nowadays we have lots of names. I mean, there is this most important Black film festival in Rio called Encontro do Cinema Negro, Zózimo Bubu. And I attend these festivals since 10 years. And I remember that back then, 10 years ago, there was only me and maybe 2 or 3 Black filmmakers from Brazil, because they invited Black filmmakers from all over the world. And back then, the vast majority of Black filmmakers were from all over the world. But in Brazil, there were only 2 or 3. And in the last edition, it was like 400 Black filmmakers from Brazil,
Wow.
It's something really, yeah. So we had some progress in the last 10 years.
Why is Black filmmaking, why are there more Black people making films in Brazil now?
I think, first of all, because of the digital accessibility. Because before, digital filmmaking was something really expensive, you needed to have lots of money, lots of funds, and blah 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 to be able to make a film. And these funds they were only gave it to white filmmakers. Nobody wanted to give money to Black filmmakers. But since the digital era, I mean, it's something, since 10 years ago, more or less, this possibility changes because it's cheaper to have a digital camera. Everybody can buy or rent or lend one, you know. So it enable people to make films. I think this is the most the mainly reason why there are so many Black people more and more making films. And second, because I don't know, I think because of this Black politics in Brazil, because after, you know, during Lula government, the Black codes were created for federal universities, which means that Black people could had the chance to, for the first time in their families, to go to universities, because it's very difficult to be able to go to university. It's very difficult, and if you go to a public school in Brazil, have no chance to compete with someone from a private school background. But because of these codes, racial codes, it was this enabled Black people to get into the universities. And because of this, also, I think that we have more and more Black filmmakers. We can see more Black people in film schools and this kind of things, you know.
But okay, I just want to, I kind of want to touch a little bit on politics now, because as a filmmaker right now, it seems to be much more difficult to be a cultural producer in Brazil right now. How are you Black filmmakers managing while Brazil is being governed by a government that doesn't really respect culture, doesn't acknowledge that Black people need to have their own stuff? How are you and other Black filmmakers managing this, or do you even do you fear this, or is this something that you guys talk about?
Yeah, everybody's very worried. I mean, this is something that will hit everybody, not only Black filmmakers, but artists in general.
Yeah.
But of course, Black filmmakers, we don't have the same access to the infrastructure, the financial ways to make our films as the white people. Of course, this is an issue. We are talking. Some of us, I believe that we have organizations like APAN, which is the Black organization for films in Brazil, and they are thinking ways and possibilities to discuss how we are going to survive this fascist government, you know, because this is what the reality is. We are under this fascist government, and which has no worries regarding culture and to maintain our culture institutions. I mean, all cultural institutions in Brazil are like abandoned, you know. But there are some companies that are still open for film funds, international funds too, you know. I think there are some ways that we can still make our films, but with much more difficulty, of course.
So I want to remind you guys, if you guys have any questions, please post your questions in the comment section. We have at least 5 people who've already commented, but you guys haven't had questions. So just drop your questions down below. So let's go through some of your films. And I actually have your films pulled up. So what I want you to do is just when I pull, I'm going to tell you the film, and when I pull it up, just introduce the film to us. Tell us what, you know, how you made it. It doesn't short. Don't be too long. The
Not
first
yet.
film that I want to share with you, and it just bear with me. It is. This is. Where are we? Come on now. Where we go? Ah, here we go. Okay. So the first film I want to share of yours is called Rainha.
Oh yeah.
So
Queen.
Queen in Portuguese, Rainha. So, and briefly, I'll
Rainha.
just briefly, this does is related to the Queen of Samba Schools, but take us through this film briefly. What is it about? How did you make it?
Yeah, this is so far my most famous work. It is a medium length film. It's not a short anymore. It lasts 30 minutes, which is not a short anymore. And it's on a story of a girl, a black young girl who dreams to become the queen of carnival, something like this, Rainha da Bateria.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a very important role in the samba schools. You know, they have always this beautiful woman, you know, dancing samba in front of the hundred of men and women play bateria, how you say, percussion.
The drum corps.
And
The drum
this
corps.
role is something very desirable.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And this girl, her character calls Rita dreams to become a queen of carnival. She tries many times. The film begins with she being already, she dresses already as a samba school, as you can see. But then the film goes back and tells the story until she gets there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a film on the process of her process to become the queen, and also on her fears of become the queen too, you
Mm-hmm.
know. It's a film on, and there are many times that we don't know exactly if what's going on is real, or is something from her her imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it's a film that talks about the how you go through your fears, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about this than anything. And of course, uh, it has some social issues, some racial issues, some, it talks about matches. Also, we have now this role of the president of the summer school, which is a white and
Always a
powerful
white
man,
guy.
and he's always decided what will happen, you know. And yes, and this film was I decided to film in black and white because I really wanted to 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 see how carnival, all the lights and everything would look like in black and white. I think it's more glamorous somehow, and I think it's somehow more melancholic in black and white, because it's not a happy film, even though it's on carnival. But it's a deep film, you know. It's a deep story, and I think black and white enable this melancholy to become bigger in the screen. And this film was all over the world. It was in over 150 film festivals everywhere. I mean, it was in US, it was in the whole Latin America, in whole Brazil, in every state of Brazil. It was in Europe. I went to Africa with this film. I was in Ghana. I was in Rotterdam Film Festival. I was in many amazing places with this film. We won like over 20 awards. And until nowadays, this film is from 2016. But until nowadays, this film goes on. Every day I receive an email, I receive a WhatsApp or whatever from people asking me to screen the film somewhere, or saying that they want to make their PhD thesis on this film.
Wow.
Or people, yes, yeah, there are lots of, yeah, I mean, this film really, it doesn't stop. I mean, this is a lively film.
So given the success of
It's
this
amazing.
so this film, it was extremely successful. Did you have any expectations on what you wanted to do after this film became such a big success? Like, what what were your goals afterwards? Or did you expect filmmaking to become easier?
Yeah, of course, back then I could not imagine that the film could be so successful. It was a surprise, of course. And this film actually is the first one of a trilogy of Carnival I'm making, you know. So after this film, I made another one, which is Alfazema, which in English calls...
Actually,
oh my God, how is it in English? I forgot.
I have the trailer.
Oh, I forgot.
It's just the trailer.
Sorry?
I'm gonna pull up the trailer from Alfazema.
Ah, okay. Alfazema, yes.
But you can keep talking. Alfazema, tell us about it.
Alfazema is like a perfume, you know. It's like I forgot the name in English exactly, but whatever. It's a kind of perfume which is very popular in Brazil. And people used to say that this perfume attracts men. You know, women who wears this perfume, they want to attract men. They want to be more attractive, and it works. People say, yeah, this is what it means. This is what it means, you know. And lavender. Now I remember lavender in English. The name of the film is Lavender. The international name, yes, the international name, the international title. And this is the second part of this Carnival trilogy, which began with Rainha. And this is a completely different film. It's a very colorful red film, you know, and it's a comedy. It's not a drama, and it's very provocative, sexual, and funny film. You know, it's completely the opposite of Rainha. And I decided to do like this because I wanted to. My goal with this trilogy is to show Carnival in many different circumstances. You know, we can talk about Carnival in different ways. This is why I decided to make a completely different film after Rainha. And Alfazema just had a world premiere in November, last November, in Rio, during the Encontro de Cinema Negro Zózimo Bubu. And afterwards, it went to the Rio de Janeiro International Short Film Festival. We won Best Film by Public Jury Prize.
Wow.
Rainha also won the same prize in 2016. And afterwards, the film was in many other film festivals in Brazil, all over the country. And then it was selected to our most important one, which is the Brasilia Film Festival in the capital of Brazil. And we screened the film there, and we were very happy because we won the 2 prizes, Best Direction and Best Soundtrack. And now, we have this pandemic, and then the film were kind of stuck but it was selected now for our Brazilian Oscar, which calls Grande Prêmio do Cinema Brasileiro. Yes. Now you can see this film on a link called Porta Curtas, where all the films selected to this Grande Prêmio are. And now let's see. I hope it can really go through. And we are just waiting for the end of this pandemic to keep it going on.
So,
and I'm right now working on the pre-production of the third part of this trilogy, which will be a feature film. Finally.
Tell us about your new projects.
Yes, I'm right now working on this third part of this trilogy, which calls Carnival with K. And it will be a feature film because I think now is the time to have a feature film. I mean, I made lots of shorts and medium-length films, so now is the time to make finally a feature one. And it will be an international co-production. It is I cannot talk a lot about the plot because it's a secret still. But it's a film that I'm very happy. I'm very happy. We are right now working on the pre-production. We have great partners already with us. And
what country?
I believe if everything works well, I think France.
Oh, cool, nice.
France.
And was it easy for you to get funding for the film? Like, are you getting funding from Brazil and France, or is it just Brazil or just France? How did you work on securing the funding for your film?
From both. Yeah, from both. And we are also looking for more co-productions from other countries, because the more countries you have in the project, the more possibility money you have. This is how it works. That's why many films have many countries as co-producers because of this, And but for the moment, we have only France as our main co-producer. But we are looking for other ones too, and hopefully it will work. I'm very happy with the ways this film is taken. I'm very happy. If everything works well, I do believe we can deliver this in 2002.
2022.
2022.
So tell me more about partnering with other countries.
In 1 year.
Let's talk about more about just partnering with other countries. Obviously, I'm a bit more familiar with the U.S. Just filmmakers in the U.S. with the Black filmmakers in the U.S. Filmmaking in general. Has it been easy for you to partner with international with filmmakers outside of Brazil?
There was a little problem in the sound. I couldn't listen you very well. Can you repeat the question?
So my question is, do you find it easy for you to partner with international filmmakers outside of Brazil? And my second question is, would you like to partner with American filmmakers?
Yes, of course. Why not? I think it's something really interesting. I've never worked with American filmmakers. I've never worked directly with the American market, actually. But I have the wish to start something, maybe with this project, for example. As I had this German background and I was in France for a while too, and I can speak also German and a little bit French, and I speak Spanish too. I think somehow it's easier I think it's somehow easier. And I think the American market is much more into itself, you know. I think American films, they don't dialogue so with the films from other countries, you know, as, for example, Europe used to do, you know. Europe has more this tradition to, because they are very small. I mean, every country is really small, so they have from the nature this need to cooperate with other countries. I think that's why maybe it works. They have they have the skills. I don't know. They have the ways to make it easier somehow. I think American market is very into itself. I think it's more difficult. I think the only possibility, director, a foreign director goes, if one goes to US to work, then if he's very good, he can have something, he can be able to direct a film or something like this. But regarding co-productions, I think it's a little bit difficult, but not impossible. It's not that, oh, it's impossible or something like this. No, I think it's just a different way to work.
That's interesting. Okay. We actually have a couple of questions. One question that we have from our person is there such thing as Brazilian Hollywood? That's a good, interesting question. Okay. Oh, sorry. Is there such a thing as Brazilian
Brian Jones. Okay. Okay. In films, not really. There were some tries in the past, like with some big studios, like in the 50s, in the 40s, in the 50s. But afterwards, not really, not on films. But we have a huge television thing. We can compare a little bit with Hollywood, but more on soap operas, TV series, things like that.
And so, do you find inspiration for your films outside of Brazil? Like, if there are some filmmakers who inspire your filmmaking or who you look up to, who are those people?
Of course. Of course, there are lots of people. Yeah, I would name Spike Lee. I would name Pedro Almodóvar. I would name Federico Fellini, Mati Diop. I mean, there are lots of people. Akira Kurosawa from Japan. Many Brazilians also. But Bob Fosse. I love Bob Fosse. Do you know Bob Fosse?
I'm not familiar with the name.
Bob Fosse, an American. Bob Fosse is an American choreographer from
Bob Fosse?
He has a Broadway background.
Are you talking about Bob Fosse?
Bob Fosse.
Oh yes. Yes. I love him.
Yes. I love him. He's my idol. He's my idol, really. For example.
These are very, like, the filmmakers that you listed are very diverse. That's a lot of diverse people. So actually, let's talk about one controversy that happened recently in Brazil. So we're talking about you being a Black filmmaker in Brazil. You're a Black woman. And there was a recent project about a woman, a very, well, I don't want to say famous, but Global Films decided to do a documentary about Marielle Franco, who has become,
oh my God,
I don't want to call her a martyr, but she is a modern day martyr. Obviously, she was assassinated 2 years ago. She was a older woman who, in all her work, she really worked on behalf of the poor, on behalf of Black women, on behalf of people who lived in favelas. And unfortunately, she was assassinated. I remember this Facebook post that you posted once you found out about the people who were going to produce this, actually a narrative film about her life. And you notice that there were not any Black people producers. Can you talk about what happened? I mean, talk about like why in Brazil a large studio would actually produce a narrative film about a Black woman but have no Black producers or Black writers. How is this possible? Because in America, yeah, I don't know if that would happen in America. Why did it happen in Brazil? And tell us what happened in the end.
Yeah, this is something unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
This is the proof that why Brazil is one of the most racist countries in the world, because all the time things like that happen. In Brazil, you don't see. The thing is that this studio, which is producing this TV series,
Mm-hmm.
has no Black female directors under contract. Anyone, no one. I mean, zero.
No one. There's no Black female directors on contract.
And this is something unbelievable. No one. Zero.
Mm-hmm.
Zero Black woman, Black filmmaker under contract. There is no Black female director in this studio you're talking about. And this is the most scandalous thing, you know. And and one of the answers of given to this fact that the series was being made without Black people was that in Brazil there's no Spike Lee's nor Ava DuVernay's. That was one of the producers of the series had said. Do you remember?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a scandal. And this, of course, it was a scandal, a huge one, you know. And I write for in a column of one of the most important newspapers in Brazil, which is Folha de São Paulo.
Mm-hmm.
I collaborated with Dudu Azevedo, which is the owner of this column. So once a month, I write an article, and I wrote an article on this scandal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is how things here, you know. This is how white people, white supremacy is still tries to keep this country as a white supremacist one, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to speak loud about this, because it's important to have no Black female directors
Mm-hmm.
in a studio like that, you know, in a TV
have you ever
channel like that.
Did you ever grow up wanting to direct novellas? Did you grow up wanting to direct novellas and films for Global?
If
you wanted to, do you want to do that as well?
No.
Interesting.
No, this is not my dream. If they pay me, no. If they pay me really well, if they make me an amazing offer, then we can think about it. But this is not my dream, because I'm a filmmaker.
Okay.
So if they want me, they have to pay me. They have to make me an offer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but I believe that, yeah, of course. I make beautiful films. I'm super gifted. I have tons of awards and prizes and everything. I mean, why should I go there just because they call me? They had to make me a proposal, a very good one, if they want me. But I believe lots of Black girls that dream to become soap operas directors, and I do believe they are very talented and very gifted, and they have skills even more than the white ones, but they don't open the doors really widely. They started, I mean, since like 3 or 4 years ago, slowly they start to open for script writers, labs, to form people to write content for them, and you know, Black people from communities and blah. And I think that's okay. I mean, and I believe now there are many people. I mean, many of these alumni from these labs, they are working there as global already as script writers and or collaborating in a scripting room, for example. But this case, I think my case is I'm a special case. I'm really into films, you know. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a author director, you know. I'm not someone that you can only contract. Oh, you direct these and blah blah blah. No, I have my own process. I have my signature, you know. I'm special.
Uh-oh.
No, really. I mean, this is a decision. This is a career decision. Yeah. If they really want signature, they have to make me offer a good one.
Nice. Okay, I like that. We have another question from Shauna Jefferson. How do you strive to present positive future images of people of color in your films? Images that push our people to our truth of greatness and brilliance.
Oh, this is my goal. This is my main goal, actually, in filmmaking. This is what I want to do more and more and more. I mean, I want Black people to be shining, to be beautiful, to be naturalized in my films. You know, I don't want Black people to be only Black body that suffers violence or reproducing stereotypes, bad stereotypes, you know, or this kind of things. I don't want Black people being being slaves, or being a prostitute, or being whatever, you know, a bandit or a criminal. No, I want Black people to be shining, to have protagonism, to have brilliance, to have normal professions, you know, to be kings and queens. This is my main goal in films. I mean, this is why I decided to write my own stories, because I was pissed off with the way Black people were portrayed in the media at all, in films, of course, in soap opera, whatever. You know, because in Brazil, if you don't see nothing of Black, I mean, if you see no Black people, you see only one or two, but in these very negative roles, you know. And I decided to become a filmmaker because I wanted to portray my people in a brilliant way, like in the most glamorous possible way. Like we can have our Sophia Loren, we can have our, you know, all this cinema imagery I had from my childhood. I wanted to become Black. That I decided to make films.
Nice. So our audience is very American, so I apologize if I focus my questions on the American audience. Are there any American filmmakers or producers who you would like to meet or work with? I know you had the recent opportunity to be featured on the Facebook and Twitter page of a project from Ava DuVernay. So like if you could pick any filmmakers or producers who you wanted to work with, who would they be? And no, they don't have to be just American, but give us a couple of American and then other international as well.
So would like to cooperate or to meet?
Both. Work with and meet.
Ah, both. Okay, the black ones or whatever.
Let's start with black, and then we'll do the other ones later.
Okay. Well, I just find out an amazing planker that I'm completely in love now. Her name is Matt Diop. He's French Senegalesian. You see that?
She did
French Senegalesian. Is
yes,
it correct?
Yes. I saw her film. What is the name of her film? It's on Netflix.
She's in the Atlantique.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, it's on Netflix. It's an amazing film. I loved her style. I'm in love with her. I'm completely obsessed with her. I'm now reading everything. And she's her aunt is a very important filmmaker from Senegal. And she's very gifted. Her film is amazing. I would love to have the chance to meet her. She's from my generation too. She's in her late 30s, and I really can relate my work with her work somehow. I would love to have the chance to meet her, to talk with her, and maybe collaborate with her. Yes, she's one of the Black filmmakers I would die for to meet. And also the Ava DuVernay, I had the chance to collaborate during this Array Voices, which was a response to this Marielle Franco's TV series. And it was really kind from her to do that, because she knew of this horrible speech of this producer saying that in Brazil there is no Spike Lee's nor Ava DuVernay's, and she got in touch with some of us Black Brazilian filmmakers, and she gave us a stage. I mean, she through her distribution company Array. Then we were in live talks in Instagram and Facebook with them, and it was really nice. And I love Ava. Ava is really an amazing woman. I would love to have the chance to meet her personally, live. Spike Lee, of course. Spike Lee is my idol since I was a kid. I just love him. Yes, he is my idol.
What was
Spike
the first
Lee and Pedro Almodovar.
Yes.
Which was the first. Yeah,
which was his first
Spike Lee and Pedro Almodovar. The first one was Crooklyn. Do you know Crooklyn?
Yes. Yes.
I love it. It was my first, and I think this is my favorite Spike Lee. Nice. I think this is my favorite until nowadays. I love many other ones, but Crooklyn is like here in my heart. I re-watch this film again and again. It's amazing. Crooklyn, this new film I'm working now. My first feature one, he's kind of inspired a little bit in Crooklyn too.
Okay, cool.
This is a tip.
So there's a girl. Is there a little black girl in your film?
I cannot talk a lot about the project, but
and I asked you, will there be a little black girl in your film?
Maybe. Maybe.
Anything else?
Maybe. No, I really. He's my idol. He's really. He's my film idol. He's someone I not only as a filmmaker but as a personality too, because what makes the difference for the great filmmakers from the normal ones, I think it's the personality too, and
Mhm.
Spike Lee has this big personality. He's not
Mhm.
only a gifted filmmaker, but he's a person, he's a star, he's something
Mhm.
else. I mean, he's performing in life too, not only in the screens. So he's everything I wanted to be.
Nice. Okay. So, this
Yes.
is your last chance to ask questions for Sabrina Fildalgo. We're wrapping up. And also, I want to actually pull up one more film of yours, which is actually one of my favorites.
Yes. Which one?
Personal. Hold on. I'm gonna share this one.
Ah,
Personal Vivator.
Personal Violator. Yeah, Personal Violator.
Vivator. Oops. Let me. Oh my gosh. Here's the phone. So, tell us about this film.
I mean, this is yes, a Personal Violator is a kind of baroque sci-fi, Brazilian sci-fi. We see at the beginning of the film, we see Fabrício Boliveira, which is one of our most famous Black film stars, and a friend of mine, very, very gifted actor, and he plays the role of ET. He's a ET who came to Earth planet to make research on human behavior, and he chose the city of Rio to start with this. And then he's confronted with the social differences and clashes that reminds to the colonial time, and that's the film. What the film is about.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed that
And this is a
what is
film
what is the name of
from
the actress?
2000.
What is the name of
It's a film
the
from
black actress?
2014. The name of the black actress.
Yeah, you've done 2 or 3 films with her. What is her name?
Yes, this is. Yes, the black actress is Ana Flávia Cavalcante. She plays. She's there. She plays the role of the maid, and she's in Rainha. She's the main character in Rainha, and uh, he's trying to examine her. I mean, he got fascinated by her and by the fact that she's from another social level and blah blah blah. And yes, I like this film very much. It's a completely low budget short film, but it gave me also lots of happiness. It has uh, I really like the script. I think it's one of my best scripts somehow, because it's a film that mixes comedy with social critic and also sci-fi. And the actors, they are really all badasses actors, and we had lots of fun shooting the film. And this film was also it was showcased in many places and many countries too, a little bit less than Rainha, but it was very successful. And this film has lots of huge fans. People who like this film, they like this film most of in comparing to the other ones
What?
of mine. Yes, yes.
Yeah, I like it.
I have really, I mean, faithful fans of Personal Violator. And
Nice.
And this film is very studied at the universities too. All the time, I got some email from students who want to interview me regarding this film for their theses and things like that. And here in Brazil, there are some people. I mean, academic people used to say that this is the first Afrofuturistic Brazilian film. I don't know if I agree, because I don't see this film as Afrofuturistic at all. I mean, it's a science fiction, it's a dystopia, but I don't know if it's a Afrofuturistic film. I mean, Afrofuturism is more related to something like the Black Panthers, for example. And as I told you, this is a low budget film. For me, Afrofuturism has something more with really not really rich films, but I think there's something more on costume and makeup more than in this film. I don't know. Maybe. What do you think?
No, actually, I think I actually wrote an article about Afrofuturism in Brazil, and I did mention this film because I think there was a film curator who actually mentioned your film as being Afrofuturistic. What is her name? I think you know this film curator. Her name is Katja. Katja. She's a black woman who writes about Black film in Brazil, a Black Afro-Brazilian woman, and she mentioned in this film.
Her name is, I know.
I think it's like
Kenya.
I'm sorry, Kenya. Yes. And I remember she mentioned this film as being Afrofuturistic. So I actually wrote about this in my article about Afrofuturism in Brazil. So I mean, I've had you for an hour and 10 minutes. I know you probably have another live, because you do lives every day, twice a day, 3 times a day. Any last?
I'm the queen. I became the queen of the lives.
Hey, I love you. I'm like, yes, you are the queen of the lives. Anything else you want to say to our audience?
I want to thank you, all of you, for watching us here, for get to know me, get to know my work. Thank you so much for spending your time with us by listening to me and learning more for my on my career and my films and my background, everything. I mean, it's a pleasure to be able to communicate with outside Brazil, especially with the US audience, with Kiratiana audience, and also with the Black community in US. Hello people. Yes, it's a pleasure to be there talking to you. I hope you get the chance to see a little bit of my work. I will do my best to enable my films with English subtitle to be available in internet, because right now we have currently only the films in original version, but I work on it. I will try to upload my films, all my films, with English subtitles, so you will be able to understand the narratives I create. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Stay home. See you. Take care of yourselves. And Kiratiana, thank you so much again. It's a pleasure. I love to talk to you. This is our second conversation, and I'm a fan. I think what you do is really important. I believe it.
Film. Sabrina, I'm ready for the feature film. It's time for that feature film to come out.
Yes, we are. It will come soon. I swear you will see that, and you will be there in the first line.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye, air kisses.
I have a cat. I have a cat there in the background.
Bye.